Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today I'm doing something probably a bit unusual, especially for me. On more than one occasion, I've made it pretty clear that my view of silicone hairsprings is something I just don't want in the watches that I collect. Okay, but on the other hand, people like them fine, and uh, a lot of brands, those owned by Swatch in particular, but also now Patek Philippe, and to some extent, uh, some very small extent, Rolex. Um, has become started using them. Now, what I have against them isn't their functionality. They function beautifully. They really do. They're less likely to lose their shape because of heat and cold. They're they're not affected by magnets or magnetization, and so there are all kinds of advantage to them. I'm well aware of. All right, but on the other hand, when the quartz crisis occurred back in, I don't know, the 50s, the 1950s or 60s or whenever it occurred, it pretty much wiped out a lot of watch companies, not only in Switzerland, but here in the United States. In my area of New England, we had a lot of watch manufacturers, and the Japanese came out with quartz watches that were way more accurate than anything we could ever really do with a typical mechanical watch. Okay, so one of the things we're going to go back to the good old days, and we're going to have high horology, and we're going to have these other kinds of things that will make the Swiss watches more appealing, including Swiss watches with quartz movements. So, um, so what I thought I'd do, I take a look at a number of new watches that have silicone hairsprings. Okay, not much more than that, but also some other innovations using quartz and silicone. And I'm going to start with the Rolex 1908 and really compare four other watches to it. Now, let me say right off the bat that when I first saw the Rolex 1908, I thought, boy, what a great watch. This is for my taste anyway. I'm not saying it for everybody's taste, but here's a watch. It's a dress watch, but it looks more like a guy's watch kind of thing. A little sporty, but not so much so. It's uh, gold, yellow gold. I happen to like that too. And not only that, but you could flip it over and you could see the back of it. You could see the movement. Not only could you see the movement, the rotor doesn't cover everything up that you can see. It's a very, so I thought, wow, this is really a great watch, the Rolex 1908. And then I found out, well, it's got a silicone hairspring. The thing I couldn't understand is that Rolex developed really one of the, in my opinion, one of the two best hairsprings ever developed using transitional metals, namely the parachrome, which was developed using niobium and zirconium and oxygen. I guess that's part of it. And it's in all of the men's watches that they have, except this one, the Rolex 1908. And I'm not sure why they did that. They may be going along sort of like, we better start somewhere with this. I don't know, but they decided to do it with this, and so I thought, well, I'll review this along with some of the other ones that have silicone hairsprings or other innovations using silicone in one matter, shape, or form. And this one, it has the observatory hands, which I think are great, and everything about it. It's called the Caliber 7140, 4 hertz, self-winding, bidirectional, 66 hours. Then it's got the Saloxy hairspring, Chronergy escapement in a nickel phosphorus alloy, which is sort of interesting, I thought, because why not have a silicon escapement along with it? you know, I actually have nothing against silicon escapements, because with silicon escapements, they don't do anything different than one made of transitional metals. Anyway, this one's $22,000, which is, right within the range of a watch like this, and it's a very, very nice watch. I like it a lot. Now, one of the ones, and I'm looking at some of the dressier watches, not the sports watches, and this one is the Brigade Tradition, which I always like, because when you flip it over on the back, the rotor looks almost exactly like the one that Abraham Louis Breguet had in his automatic watch. And this watch, this was something I just thought, wow, this is great. This is the kind of watch that a collector could really get behind, because it has all of the features that Abraham Breguet had, except for one thing. And this is after Swatch bought it, they started putting in these silicone hairsprings. Okay, so enough of that. This one is 40 millimeter, 18 karat gold, and it's got a caliber 55Q in it, or 505Q. It has a 3 hertz, 21,600 oscillations per hour. The balance wheel is a Brigade balance wheel with the little notches in it. Then it also has, these are all, by the way, too, the ones with free sprung hairsprings all have free balances. They have to. Okay, you can't, because regulators, what will do is they'll stretch, or they'll change the hairspring. You can't change anything on a silicone hairspring. So these are free sprung balances that they all have, and they have these little weights on them that you adjust those. It's got an off-center dial and gold, and engine turned. The dial is engine turned by hand. In other words, what you have is a Rose engine, a hand-turned machine in there somehow, which is really, this is you get the hobnailed or Claude de Paris kind of pattern that you have in the middle of that. Just a gorgeous watch. It's $39,900. It's $40,000. That's the most expensive one we're going to look at. And this is another one. I tell you, this is really a nice one. I can't afford that, though. Now, this next one is one that a lot of people got all excited about when it came out. And this is the spring drive, the Grand Seiko. And this particular one is from the Grand Seiko Heritage Collection, $6,000. It has a frequency of 32,768 hertz. Now, your typical Rolex is 4 hertz, and the Brigade we just looked at was 3 hertz. Oh my God, he's got 32,000 hertz. Well, this is where you get the accuracy, because this has got a quartz movement in it, but it is so cool what they've done with it. They have this regulator. Now, the whole thing, the power is supplied by a mainspring. Okay, so that's the important thing. And the mainspring provides just enough electrical charge that it will power the quartz movement. Now, what the quartz movement does in this particular one, in the spring drive, they've got these magnets, these magnets inside of it, and with the vibrations from the quartz, they will they increase or decrease to keep a constant force. And instead of using some kind of mechanical brake in there, they use magnetic brakes. And so this is how they, I mean, it's really, I mean, the engineering in this watch is just amazing. And they figure about 1 second a day is the variation on it. It's got a 72-hour reserve, 3 days. Just an amazing, totally amazing watch. So it's something really special. Now the final one I want to take a look at is an Omega DeVille Prestige. Now one of the things about Omega, they adopted the coaxial escapement, and and because of that, they had one of the most innovative escapements around. So it's really it was just like, this watch has got something that, other than outside of Roger Smith, I don't know who else uses the coaxial escapement, which is really a fantastic escapement. Now, in looking at this is the Omega DeVille Prestige. I think the DeVille Prestige is one that has been overlooked as a dress watch. I think it's a really very, very nice dress watch. This particular one, it goes through meta certification, so it's a chronometer, and now, when you see 15,000 Gauss, you know something's up. And it's got a silicon balance spring. Again, this is another one with that. I don't know if you remember the Mil Gauss, which was 1,000 Gauss. That was one that Rolex developed. And it was, very good for keeping magnetization down. 15,000 will do an even better job of it. But here's another one that, again, from the Omega, thinking the Moon Watch and some of those. Of course, they didn't have silicon balance springs on them. But what I want to say is that all of these watches are really very nice watches. The fact that I don't like silicon hairsprings, it's got nothing to do with anything. It's just my own personal taste. I suppose when sort of the whole movement away from quartz, for me it was away from silicon, which quartz is silicon and oxygen is all it is. But here are 4 really nice watches. Now, of these 4, in terms of the technology, none of them are even close to the spring drive. I mean, it's really fantastic technology, and each one of them, I think, has a great deal to offer in its own way. My favorite, I'm not sure, it'd be between the Breguet and the Rolex. Those two I really like. Anyway, I'd like to get your opinion of the thing, since these are watches I'm never going to get, but and I'd like to hear what you have to say, what you think. In the meantime, this is an opportunity to subscribe if you like. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders with Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.